Yo, back again, doing this new type of format of video. And today I decided since I'm a black person, I wanted to see what sisters Madam Cat Katlego, yeah, had to say because she titled the video "We Are Black." So I honestly don't know, man. I honestly don't know. We're just gonna react to this and see and give our 2 cents on things, like we always do. So get ready, let's go.
Despite what many viewers may like to believe, my point is not to imply that all black people are working to destroy the country. I mean, we all agree that there are black people who are competent. In fact, there are many black people who are working to end the nonsense of the comrades. These black people are seeking the end of corruption, negligence, and incompetence of the comrades. That is a fact. But what's also a fact is that the vast majority of black people in this country are actually standing up in support of the bad black people among us. Welcome to Citizen Concerned, where we remind you to beware of
That's quite the statement to say. But I want to see where she goes before I give my 2 cents. I want to see where she goes with this.
the comrades. I'm Katlego and would appreciate it if you subscribed to our YouTube channel, liked and
Like and subscribe, yo. Otherwise, you'll bust your toe while going to the bathroom at night. Then you wake up. Subscribe.
shared this video with other citizens. There seems to be a black culture that exists across the globe, a culture of trying to band together with people with the same color as us. That is why you see that when the GNU was announced, the main complaints from many of these so-called progressive parties was that the ANC was working with white people. They didn't care whether the GNU would create wealth, jobs, peace, or security for South Africans. Nope. Simply choose to work with a white person over a black person and they freak out. It is strange. Those kinds of people want us to believe that all black people believe in the same ideas as if all black people are one family or one country.
But they did, though. Hear me out. Right. I realized something because I don't know when this happened, but I started to realize that this mindset that black people, or this idea that some black people have that all of us are one and the same, for the longest time it was actually true, if you think about it. Like, if you look back during the times of apartheid, right, this was in fact the truth. This was in fact the actual physical truth of reality, that all black people have one common idea, So it isn't far-fetched for somebody in this day and age to still be there like, hey, yo, we're all black, so we should all band together. Like, I understand where they could be coming from. I don't fully agree with it because in my mind, I'm still like, that's a fucking dumb idea. I have my own brain. But the concept of it makes sense as to how people got to that conclusion, which is why I'm like, okay, I get why you have this. And I always looked at it as the same way people look at war heroes, war, like soldiers, they come back from war as PTSD. Like, the thing doesn't leave them until they get the actual help they need. And I genuinely think that whenever people are talking about the legacies of apartheid, there's this one thing that nobody talks about, and it is the borderline PTSD that black people have of apartheid, because for the longest time you would hear these politicians talk about like, ayo, white people, and they'll take your freedom, they'll take job opportunities, they'll do this, they'll ruin the nation. White people will ruin the nation. And on one aspect, I'm like, that's absolutely fucked up. But on the other aspect, I'm like, I kind of get where that idea is coming from, and I kind of understand why you're using that specific method to get to people, you know? Because in your mind, if you think every single time you hear that you're like, this dumb motherfucker, I don't know who's gonna believe this, then you must come to the understanding that you're not the target audience. You're not the person he's speaking to. The person who was there during apartheid, the person who knows what it's like to not have freedom, the person who's still living with the PTSD of apartheid, the legacy, the one legacy that nobody ever talks about of apartheid, the PTSD of it, that's the target audience. That's the demographic they're talking to. It isn't us. And you tend to find out that there are more of those people than we are actually, as a society, are willing to admit. The people that are still living with the PTSD of apartheid. There's a lot of those people. Case in point, every single time you travel, right? Let's just say, I'm going to use KZN, right? Let's just say you're moving from, or like not moving, but just traveling from, like, let's just say Shepston to Pietermaritzburg, right? Try and count the amount of small settlements that are outside of the city limits, settlements, and tell me how many of those settlements you actually find on your way to Pietermaritzburg or Durban, you know? Tell me how many of those settlements you find. And then you tend to realize that these people, they're not talking to us mainly. They're not talking to us mainly. They're talking to those people that are outside of the access of like the stuff that we use to counter these arguments. You will find that in those settlements, there's only black people. They haven't moved on from, or they haven't healed from the PTSD that they got during apartheid. Which is why I'm like, yeah, I understand where they got the idea of black people basically are thinking, acting, doing the same. I understand where they got it from. They're not crazy in thinking that. They're not crazy. It was the truth. The same way that the sky is blue being the physical truth, it was the physical truth that black people all agreed and acted the same. It was just the physical truth. And we're still healing from that, you know? Yeah, I think that suffices. Yeah, that was just my 2 cents on it.
You saw this with the Chidima issue. They wanted us to ignore it. Why? Because she is black. When black criminals in America get what they deserve, you hear the cries, Black Lives Matter. But did they commit the crimes they're accused of? That doesn't matter. Black Lives Matter. There are black people who will vote black no matter what. They don't care about the consequences. If we have two politicians in...
Well, it's not that they don't care about the consequences. It's just that how can I phrase this? Okay, yeah. This is how it works, right? This is how they use psychology on people, right? To those people that are still suffering from the PTSD of apartheid, right? The biggest fear that they have is the loss of their rights, which they know full well a life of no rights, right? So now you have a life of no rights or a life of basically poverty, right? So to us, we're like, this isn't even an option. We're not stupid enough to let these people take our rights away from us, you know? The reason apartheid was so powerful is because they had guns, they had weaponry, they had missiles pointed directly at black people. That is why they were in the regime for as long as they were. That is why they had so much power, that all the power that they had the weapons. We have the weapons now, so they can't do that to us. But to those people that still have the PTSD, it's a reality. Because look at the people that had no wealth and built themselves up and see how they act. The way that they respect money will be forever different to the people that were just born with money. You know? Same thing with freedom. The psychology is the same. To the people that had lived a life with no freedom, they will look at freedom as something that can still be taken away from them. It's different from the example that I used with money, but it's the same psychological principle that, yo, it can be taken away from us. That is why I must vote for this other black person, because I know what a life of no rights is like. So I would rather have this dude who is absolutely corrupt, but I know for a fact will not take my rights away from me, versus the dude who is white and might take my rights away from me. Because that's why they keep using the same examples, that this is the legacy of apartheid. We cannot let these white people do whatever they want, because they will do all these things and they will take away your rights. They will do this, they will do that. And then us will look at them and be like, you're absolutely crazy, but you're not the demographic that they're saying that to, you know? So it's like the same psychological game. It's not working on us, but if you still have a village a lali that you go to, right? And you see all those people there, you don't talk to all of those people. You don't know the politics of all those people that are there. You will find that, let's just say in a city, there's like maybe 20, if not 15% of that city will vote for these people. And then next time you travel, you see all these settlements. As you're going to your next city, as you're going to your next destination, you see all these settlements, right? In these settlements, they don't have the same access to stuff that we do. So what do you think would happen to those people if you dangled the idea that freedom can be taken away from them? They don't have the luxuries that we have. So they will look at the dangling of freedom and be like, if I actually do vote for this white person, my freedom will be taken away from me, because they took our freedoms away from us back then. So what's stopping them now? So the concept, the idea, the demographic that they are talking to, they know their target audience. They know what they're doing. Hence why it works. Funny enough, because we can't deny it. It works. They know what they're doing. And that was a long ass tangent. Wow.
In front of us, a black one versus a white one, they will vote for the black one. Why? Because it is a black politician.
Where an investigation into Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administrations revealed more examples of taxpayer money used for
dollars in first class. But that found this small south suburb went from a surplus 2 years ago to a nearly
Yeah, but he's black. He's black.
3 today.
Hey, but that black guy's corrupt. Yeah, but he's black. He's black.
3 Amazon purchases in a single day, totaling more than $43,000, and unexplained Wayfair and gift cards, all charged to the village.
I am in the White House.
Lightfoot also noted Henyard's well-documented taste for travel, paid for by both the village and the township. Henyard's former chief of staff in Dalton told us last January
Lobster.
deals with
They want to hear from the mayor.
Yeah, but he's stealing from you and I. Yeah, but he's black. No matter what, they vote black. They make it seem like choosing a white candidate is somehow selling out your country or your family or your whatever. The stupidity of it is so scary that every time I hear it, I am amazed by it.
I disagree. It's not stupidity. It's actual brilliance. Absolute brilliance. Because like I said, they're not saying that to you. They're not saying that to convince you. Remember, they're not playing the we are the minority, have to convince the majority. No. They are playing the game of, I just have to convince this demographic, and then I've won. I just need to up by maybe 1, 2, 3%, and then I've won. I have it all. And that's how they're doing it. So it's not stupidity. And we have to get over ourselves and stop looking at them as if they're stupid. Because they're not. They're brilliant. For the fact that they got there, they have to be brilliant. Like, they have to be brilliant. And that's just one thing I disagree on. They're brilliant.
Of it is so scary that every time I hear it, I am amazed you how selling out your country or your family or your whatever. The stupidity of it is so scary that every time I hear it, I am amazed by it. In America, there are communities that have experienced exactly this phenomenon. A city has more black people living in it. Just like South Africa, there are more black people living here, right? And the fact that there are more black people in those places has resulted in black people simply choosing to vote for black people for no other reason than the fact that their choice is black.
And when I look at the situation and everything that's going on, I can just honestly say I'm just so disgusted with what is going on in this village. And I want to encourage the voters, because we cannot start not like me. You that there wasn't what you are. We have to do our research. That's all I'm going to have to say.
America is similar to South Africa in this aspect. No matter what, there are people who will vote black no matter how bad the black politician may be performing. So when people start saying, let's leave these black people alone in their dirt-filled, swampy living conditions, why do you get surprised?
Wealthy white Louisiana residents split from Baton Rouge to form their own city. But Israel is more than by the court.
Supreme Court there, part Rouge in a plus years.
Kip Holden was so when you put that years, okay, so
it is crazy that we vote for lazy, corrupt people who have destroyed everything, and yet for some reason we expect life to get better for us under those same people.
Barely any of this was abandoned when we was kids. When we was young coming up, Barbara is kind of nice with some fire thing on, all these shit, went to jail.
We are not discussing these issues with each other. We are not political landscape. We are not
people getting killed, dog.
We are not participating enough in our political landscape. We are not discussing these issues with
Okay. I have a point to say about that, not discussing enough with the political landscape. Biggest reason is part and parcel, we can't discuss it. Let me use me as an example, as a young person, right, who is just getting into voting and getting the right to vote, right? As a person that is in my demographic, you find it very difficult to speak to people of the older generation about politics, because it's something that seemingly is like a part of your identity, you know? Where it's like, if you do not vote the same as me, then me and you are not the same. And if me and you are not the same, I believe I am the authentic one, and that means you must be a fake, you know? And then you'll get bashed for it. You a lot of bad stuff comes out of you voicing your opinion, especially if you are younger, you know? When you're younger, I think it's safe for me to say, when you're younger in South Africa, you tend to be looked at as an idiot, as stupid, as naive. But then at the same time, they will tell you that, ayo, you're the future. Bro, you're the future. You must be able to fix all of these things because you're brilliant. You must be able to fix all of these things. But then when you give your opinion on how to fix all of these things, no, you're naive, you don't know enough, listen to your elders. And then I'm just like, well, what is it that you have to say that I should listen to? Hey, I know more than you. And I'm like, well, clearly the things that you know are not working. I mean, no offense, but if what you knew was actually worth knowing, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in now, would we? But hey, I'm young and naive, right? I'm young and naive. And that's the issue, is that because I'm young, I must be naive, because if you're old, you're wise. That's the only way it can be, right? And that is another part of this discussion that we're suffering from, which is why we can't talk about politics, or at least why I feel like my demographic cannot talk about politics, you know? At the moment you do, you get bashed for it. And sometimes getting bashed for it isn't worth the discussion, because the bashing just gets like really, really bad. So if it's like wanting to get scorned by your parents. Like, some of us are already unplanned pregnancies. Our parents already hate us. So why the fuck should we, you know, give them another reason to not love us? Like, come on. Yeah.
each other. We are not educating our children. We make no time to talk about the economy, about skills, about talents, about our communities with our peers and with our children. How do you expect them and us to change our way of thinking if we don't do that? So when they are old enough to vote, they choose to vote for politicians like these ones. I mean, look at this mayor.
Y'all should be ashamed of yourself. Y'all black. Y'all are black. And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself.
She has destroyed her own city, but the majority of black people in that city chose to vote for her. Why? Because she's black. She wastes taxpayer money, and whenever she gets asked about her poor performance, do you know what she says? You're attacking me because I am black. And she's not the only one. I don't get it, but it happens every time. The fact that someone is black does not mean that the person is good for you.
Because I've come to the point that I don't just vote because you're searching.
From Limpopo.
You might not like me. You just didn't do your research.
The fact that a politician comes from Limpopo does not mean that you, a person from Limpopo, should vote for that person. For some reason, this is still a problem that is very, very active among black people. And so those who are being offended by this is an opportunity to pause and evaluate yourself and black people you know. Don't focus on how this makes you feel. Focus on whether it is true or false. And if it is true, work with me to change this culture. Facts first, cry later. Did you notice that even though the ANC lost the 2024 elections, the voters still went to choose the parties that are just as bad or even worse than the ANC itself? In fact, the voters chose people who were formerly ANC. They are known to be very corrupt, and yet our people keep choosing them. How does that make any sense to you? So since most black people choose black incompetence over competence, since most black people choose racism over competence, since most black people choose black people over good service delivery, over clean cities, over closed borders, what is happening? White people who can and who lack the patience for it are choosing to white flight. They simply choosing to live abroad, or they choosing to create their little closed cities or closed communities. Some want Orania, while others want Cape Exit. I also do not like these ideas. I say let's all fix the country together. Let's educate those who are voting wrong. Let's show them the light. But if white people see that more than 60% of the population voted for racist, incompetent, corrupt parties that have created more racial division, poverty, and crime, you understand why they want to live far away from people that keep thinking and voting like that. I was speaking with a black business person who said he supported Cape Exit and was thinking of even leaving South Africa due to being discouraged by the thinking and voting choices of the majority of South Africans. So you see, it's not just white people. It is not that white people are better human beings. It is not that white people are superior, but it is because the majority of white people in South Africa have embraced a culture of logic, common sense, and accountability. Black people who have embraced a culture of logic, common sense, and accountability are called names. Black people who want this are hated and being called sellouts. They are the minority, so they are treated funny and they cannot voice their concerns freely because Zuma, Malema, and the rest of the corrupt hyenas are viewed as heroes by the vast majority of black people in South Africa. You know what though? We can change that. We can definitely change that. The culture is a problem and we can change it. It is up to us. I will not rest until we do that. Thank you so much for watching. Please.
To her final point, right? Well, the way I see it, at least my 2 cents on it, right, is that you'd be surprised how few people that are properly educated there are in this nation. And you will find that a lot of voters, like people that have been voting for years now, are more misinformed than they are about voting than us that have never voted before, you know? And that is the gap that education has made, right? I'm not saying they're not educated, and I'm not saying that they're foolish. They're actually quite brilliant. There are lots of brilliant people with no qualifications, but that's not the point I'm trying to make here. The point that I'm trying to make here is that the commodity that is information is not readily available, especially to the people that are not in the areas where information is available. And with that being the case, you tend to find that these people that are constantly voting for these corrupt parties and all of that tend to get convinced by the argument that because all politicians can be corrupt, all politicians are corrupt, so why not vote for the politician that is black, that is gonna work to increase for the black community? And to that I say, that politician that told you that is the politician you should not be voting for. The people that believe that are the people that you should be wary of. Let me give you an example, right? Because this is their logic, right? If the person is a politician, they're all bad. Therefore, it doesn't matter what party they belong to, because bad equals bad equals bad. Let me use that logic then, right? Which would you rather get bitten by? A snake or a dog? Right? Which is better? If one of the two is better, doesn't that mean that there is one that you should be wary of more than the other? And using that logic, you come to realize that the ones that are constantly telling you it's all one and the same is the same ones that are the snakes, the ones that you should be wary of. But hey, that's just my 2 cents. Food for thought. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and yeah, hope to see you next time. Deuces.